Hey everyone, another 3 months have passed, so let's go over everything I picked up during the months of April, May, and June of 2023. I'll also be opening up the 3 boxes from Retro Game Treasure that I received during those months as well. When it comes to the pickups, they're going to be from all different sources, as games were found on Kijiji, eBay, from my local thrift stores, and some were bought brand new from GameStop. But let's start off with the Retro Game Treasure unboxings. Just quickly, if you don't know what Retro Game Treasure is, it's a monthly service that sends video games right to your door, and it should be noted that I am a subscriber. They did not send me anything for a review, they do not know I'm making this video, and they have no influence over what I say. While on the website, you can pick your preferences in terms of consoles you want to collect for, as well as the genre of games you're interested in. Personally, I'm always updating my preferences. During the month of April, I still had Xbox One and PS4 selected, but after April, I took those off and left only cartridge Nintendo games with the NES, the Super Nintendo, and the N64. I also have the GameCube, as I just have a hard time finding those games out in the wild, so I figured this would be a good way to add some to the collection. So let's start off with the box for April 2023 and see what's inside. First out of the box is a loose copy of Pitfall for the Super Nintendo. At first glance, the cartridge and label look pretty clean, with the front and top being in relatively nice condition. But once the cartridge was turned over, it was a total mess. The back label is completely destroyed. It's a shame because I do have it set in my preferences that condition is key for me, and clearly that is not good condition. However, I would rather the back label be destroyed compared to the front. Next is a broken box, and it turns out it's a set of Super Mario coasters, which is actually pretty neat. I don't think they'll actually be good as coasters though, as they do feel like they're made out of cardboard and would probably get ruined rather easily. The designs of them are pretty good, and they have different fun facts about the Mario franchise on the back of each one, so that's fun at least. They're a neat thing because I'm a big Mario fan, but in terms of what I'm looking for out of these boxes, this isn't really it. I feel like recently I've been getting a lot of toys and items that aren't actually used while gaming, even though they're gaming related. So I think I'm going to have to change that preference. I'm getting to the point where I think I want the boxes to be more game focused instead of gaming related focused. Next up is a sealed Xbox One game, and we have The Raven Remastered. This isn't a game I know much about, and it's actually one I feel like I've seen in the discount bins at GameStop before. I've mentioned this before, but I feel like with these relatively newer systems, they send out sealed copies of games as it technically gives the game more value, which allows them to give out cheaper games while still maintaining the value of the box. And that seems pretty apparent, as the next game is also a sealed copy, as it's a copy of Outcast Second Contact for the PS4. Again, this is a game I've seen in discount bins at game stores pretty regularly, so I'm not surprised to see it used here as filler. This is actually what made me take the newer systems off for the upcoming boxes. It's a shame because I was pretty excited when they announced Xbox One and PS4 would be added to the service, but I've been pretty let down by it so far. And to end the box, we have a complete copy of American Chopper 2 Full Throttle for the GameCube. Honestly, I had no idea there was an American Chopper game, let alone a sequel. But this is kind of the quality of game I expect from the GameCube selection. As GameCube game prices keep going up, the likeliness of receiving more sought-after GameCube games in these boxes just seems to get lower and lower. But here, with American Chopper, the manual is in pretty nice condition, and there doesn't seem to be too many scratches on the disc, so at least it looks like it was well taken care of. I do remember watching the show growing up, so it's kind of a blast from the past for me to see these people, and it's actually pretty wild that they managed to get some games out of the franchise. So now that we've seen what's in the box for April, let's check out the boards for the cartridges, make sure everything works, and check out the current values for each game according to PriceCharting.com. These prices are all going to be as of June 26, 2023. First up is Pitfall. The board looks good and the game worked right away, so that's always a good sign. In case anyone is curious, I am using the Retron 5 to test out these cartridges and capture footage. According to Price Charting, a loose copy of Pitfall goes for $9.81 American or $12.91 Canadian. American Chopper 2 Full Throttle on the GameCube worked great, although I wouldn't say it was a very good game. Currently, the game is valued at $6.99 American or $9.20 Canadian. As for the two sealed games, I'm going to keep them sealed for the time being. I don't see the need to open them unless I'm going to play through the full game, and there's a lot of other things coming out right now that's taking up my time. I also just assume that since they're new, they'll work perfectly fine. As for the prices, a sealed copy of Outcast Second Contact goes for $11.67 American or $15.35 Canadian, while the sealed copy of The Raven Remastered goes for $9.95 American or $13.09 Canadian. So before they shipped out the box for May, I did remove Xbox One and PS4 from my preferences. However, I did not remove the accessories. So let's check out what they sent in the second of 3 boxes for the video. And naturally, to start off, we have an accessory, a boxed Nintendo 64 Rumble Pack. So on the website, when you check off accessories, it does state all official products, and I interpreted that to mean first party, but I don't actually think that's the case. I've received other accessories in these boxes before, and they've all been third party, so I think that means that they're third party but officially recognized by the console manufacturer. The website should definitely make that way more clear. As for the first actual game in the box, we have Championship Pool for the Super Nintendo. And while the cartridge is a little dirty but can be cleaned, the labels, both front and back, look to be really nice. Pool games are not really something I'm looking for, but they must be classified in the arcade sports genre or something. Otherwise, I'm not sure what genre I have selected that this would even seem to be a good fit for my box. Next, we have X-Men for the original Nintendo. I really like the X-Men, so at first glance, this is a really cool pickup in my mind, but I also know it's a game that's not highly regarded. The label looks good, so that's nice, but the cartridge is pretty scratched up on the front and the back has a sticker and writing on it. You know, I follow Retro Game Treasure on Instagram and they put out videos showcasing them cleaning marker and removing stickers from games, and yet it feels like I'm regularly receiving games that I need to clean myself. While most of the time it's not difficult, I just find it extremely frustrating that I checked off condition is key and yet it seems to be ignored rather frequently. But there is one more game in the box, and for the GameCube we have a boxed copy of Chicken Little. No manual, so that's a shame, but I'm not overwhelmingly concerned about it. This case is in okay to poor condition, but the disc itself is in pretty good shape. There is a mark on the top of the disc, but in terms of scratches it looks pretty good. I know this era of gaming had a lot of licensed games, and for the most part, they were never very good, so I don't really have high expectations for this. But we'll check it out together and see how it plays. And that does it for the box for May, and it's actually nice to know that with short notice of taking off Xbox One and PS4, they still managed to follow the changes. Now, let's take a closer look at everything and check out the current values. Opening up the cartridges, we have Championship Pool for the Super Nintendo, and it's currently valued at $4.65 American or $6.12 Canadian. The board looked good to me, and the game ran perfectly fine for what it is. I just don't think these games are very fun to play. Moving to the copy of the X-Men on the original Nintendo, the board looked good and everything was in good condition, and I had no issues loading into it. Now, like I said, I'm a fan of the X-Men, but this game is not helping that. It was not enjoyable at all. Definitely more of a display or collection piece versus something I'm going to play regularly. As for the price though, it is currently valued at $13.58 American or $17.87 Canadian. Next up is Chicken Little for the GameCube, and this game, while not fantastic, it actually did play rather well. It had okay visuals and audio, and the gameplay wasn't too bad either. As for right now, the game is currently valued at $6.55 American or $8.62 Canadian. Moving to the third box for the video, we have June 2023, and at first glance I noticed that the box is actually a different color. I don't think there's any significance to it, I just thought it was a little weird. And to start off, we have a case with a Retro Game Treasure logo on it. In over 3 years of getting boxes from them, I don't think I've ever seen this before, so this is actually new to me. And inside, we have Minority Report for the GameCube, so a loose GameCube game. Personally, I am not thrilled with that. While I'm intrigued by the game, even though it's a licensed game, I just really wish it came with a proper GameCube case. Even if it comes without a manual, I much prefer there to be a case as it helps with the organization of my games. As for the disc itself, there doesn't seem to be any major scratches on it. Next up is a set of official Super Mario album stickers, and they're still sealed in the packaging. Apparently there's 6 stickers inside, and at first thought I have no idea what I'm going to do with these. Stickers are not something I collect, and in my mind, the only thing about them that's even interesting is that they're Mario themed. Moving on to the next game, we have WCW Mayhem for the Nintendo 64. This is actually pretty cool to me. I'm a fan of wrestling and they sent me quite a few wrestling games in the past, so I'm slowly building up a decent wrestling game collection because of these boxes. Both labels and the cartridge itself look pretty clean, so this is a pickup I'm pretty happy with. And finally, to end the box, in the 3-month span from Retro Game Treasure, we have Final Fight for the Super Nintendo. To me, this is a fantastic pickup. By far the best pickup out of the 3 boxes. I grew up with Final Fight 2 for the Super Nintendo, and it's a game I played a ton as a kid, but I've never had the first one, so this is really neat for me. The cartridge looks like it has a bunch of smudges on it, like someone tried to clean it and gave up part way, so that's kind of annoying, but the labels are in pretty good shape, which I do appreciate when that's the case. It's always nice ending a box with a game that I legitimately was seeking out to add to my collection. Checking out the games, I started with Minority Report for the GameCube, and no matter what I tried, I just couldn't get it to work. The system is recognizing that there's a disc and what the game is, but there seems to be some sort of issue with it. I tried cleaning it as best I could, but nothing would make it work. I'm gonna have to reach out to Retro Game Treasure and see what they say about it. If I can get the game to work, then in theory, it'll be valued at $9.32 American or $12.26 Canadian. But right now, it's hard for me to say it's worth anything if it doesn't work. After that, I took apart WCW Mayhem, and it's a clean looking copy in my mind. As for the gameplay, it played fine, but it wasn't very intuitive for someone who played other wrestling games of the same era, as the control scheme was a bit different. As for the game itself, it's perfectly fine though. Currently, a loose copy of the game is valued at $4.73 American or $6.22 Canadian. And finally, to end the box, I open up Final Fight for the Super Nintendo, and just like all the others, the game board looks legit and clean, and considering this is my personal highlight of the 3 boxes, I'm extremely happy that it worked first try. I really enjoy side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and this one still holds up in my mind. As for the current value, it goes for $16.97 American or $22.32 Canadian. Just a quick reminder, if you're adding up all the values for the boxes, each box did have accessories that I didn't have proper values for, as things like a rumble pack do add value to the box. And there we have the 3 months of Retro Game Treasure, but they're still the regular pickups I made over the past 3 months. So let's start off with one of my more exciting pickups. On Kijiji, I found an ad for a Sega Genesis bundle that included 2 controllers and 7 games, and I just couldn't pass it up. Included were loose copies of Sonic 2, Sonic and Knuckles, Separation Anxiety, Triple Score, and Mortal Kombat, as well as boxed copies of Aladdin and Ren and Stimpy, Stimpy's Invention. I couldn't believe the price this guy was asking for, and I honestly felt so bad for him as I was picking it up. This guy, who I guess was in his mid to late 30s, was basically holding back tears as he literally waved goodbye to the box of games. As we chatted for a little bit and he said his one last goodbye, he told me, and I quote, "Don't let your wife make you sell your games." I couldn't believe it. I could tell this was absolutely not his choice, but he did what he had to do, and I just happened to be the lucky person to answer the ad. To test it out, I even brought out my 13-inch CRT TV, which I completely forgot I had in my closet, and everything worked perfectly fine. Moving on from Sega, let's head over to Xbox, and at the thrift store, I found Kinect Adventures, Kinectimals, and Kinect Joyride, and they're all complete copies. The Kinect games are probably games I should have left at the store, but seeing them all together in a neat little bundle just made me feel like it was a sign. Surprisingly, that's all the 360 games I picked up, but I did also manage to find the official game guide to Halo 4. It's incredibly in-depth and detailed and has everything imaginable about the game. Staying with Microsoft, I did manage to get 4 Xbox One games with Dying Light, Rise, Son of Rome, and Mafia 3, and they were all found at thrift stores. I also managed to get a new copy of NHL 23 in a way I never thought I would, as I used some of my Air Miles reward points and claimed the game for free. I wanted to test out how the service worked, and this was one of the cheapest items to claim, and actually the only video game I could claim. So I ordered it with points, and within a week or so it was at my place. Kind of hard to complain about that. Up next, we have the only PlayStation 3 games I managed to find, as I picked up BioShock 2 and Call of Duty World at War, which is the greatest hits version, and both games are complete copies. PS3 is actually becoming a bit of a difficult system to find in thrift stores, as I tend to see the same games everywhere I go, but they're ones I already own. But even though my PS3 pickups was small, that doesn't mean I didn't get other PlayStation games, as I got The Simpsons Road Rage, Final Fantasy X-2, and Final Fantasy XII for the PS2. Final Fantasy X-2 is missing the manual, but the other two games are complete. While I'm not a giant Final Fantasy fan, having games like these are a good way for me to start experiencing some of the older titles and start familiarizing myself with the franchise. Whereas The Simpsons is my most favorite TV show of all time, so it was only a matter of time before I picked this up. Sticking with the PS2, I managed to get complete copies of God of War 2, Wild Arms 3, and Kingdom Hearts, which is the greatest hits version. I've heard so many things about Kingdom Hearts, as people seem to either love it or hate it, and there's basically no in between. So now I can finally play through the game and see which side I land on. And the last PS2 games I added to my collection are a complete greatest hits copy of Red Faction, as well as box copies of Reckless, the Yakuza missions, and Over the Hedge. Recently, I've been shying away from buying games unless they're complete copies, but at the price I found these PS2 games, sometimes it's okay to not have the manuals, even though I definitely prefer to have them. And finally, moving on to Nintendo, this is where I managed to get some of my most sought after games. Starting with the Super Nintendo, I picked up a copy of Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and my friend sent me Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This was sent to me by someone who I still think should have kept it for themselves, but they selflessly gave it to me and I couldn't be happier about it. To that person, thank you, thank you, thank you. I also managed to pick up The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass from an online ad, but it is missing the manual, as well as a copy of Pokemon Sun that I found at the thrift store, and to my surprise, instead of a manual inside, there was also a copy of Pokemon Diamond. Two Pokemon games found together at the thrift store for $4. I couldn't believe my luck, until I got home. Well, I'm not 100% sure, and I'm really hoping it's not, but I think this copy of Pokemon Diamond is fake. I already found a complete copy of Pokemon Diamond at a thrift store before, and the engraved fonts on the back are actually different between the two cartridges. The new loose copy that I just found at the thrift store has font that is inconsistent with other DS games that I know are 100% legitimate. Keep in mind though, the game loads and plays perfectly fine, and the label is pretty good quality for a fake, even though the color is a little off. It's basically only the back font that makes me think it's fake. But if you know any extra information about this, please help me out and let me know down in the comments. Are they both real, both fake, or one each? Please, any extra info is greatly appreciated. Next up, I also found a complete copy of Kirby's Dream Collection for the Wii, and if you haven't seen it, I've already uploaded a full video about this collection on the channel if you want to know more about it. And I also managed to pick up new copies of Metroid Prime Remastered and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for the Switch. And Tears of the Kingdom, it's taken up a lot of my time recently, and it's absolutely fantastic. I did also notice one day that the Nintendo 64 controllers for the Switch Online service were back in stock for a limited time, so I jumped on the opportunity to grab one. I kept tabs on it for months as they were consistently sold out, but luckily, after who knows how many checks, I finally managed to grab one. And for my final pickup, and the most convenient pickup in recent memory, I found a listing on Kijiji for this Game Boy Color, and to my surprise, the seller was actually someone who lived in my building. I literally didn't have to go outside for it. Within 2 minutes of answering the ad, I had completed the purchase and I couldn't have been happier. And there we have it, every video game related item I picked up over the last 3 months. 3 boxes of Retro Game Treasure along with 32 games, 2 consoles, 1 accessory, 1 guide, and even 1 fake game. With games like Super Mario RPG, Simpsons Road Rage, and the Sega Genesis being personal highlights. But what about you? I'd love to know some of the games you picked up recently and where'd you find them? Please let me know down in the comments, and let me know if you have any extra info about that copy of Pokemon Diamond. I'd really appreciate it. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you want to know more about Kirby's Dream Collection, then be sure to click on the video right here.